Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the North Santiam Sewer Authority Board Meeting and Sewer Project Update number 57. It's September 2nd, 2021. It is 6:30 p.m. The meeting's held by Zoom conference due to COVID-19. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing well, thank you.
That's a good thing. Roll call. Janet.
Dan Woodward.
Present.
Jeff Smith.
Present.
Joel Parks.
Present.
Shelley Engel.
Present.
John McCormick.
Present.
And welcome. Tim Kirsch.
Here.
And Jeff Yowie is not online yet, and myself. So we have 7 out of 8.
We have a quorum.
And McCray is joining right now.
Thank you.
Any declarations of conflicts of interest? Not hearing any. Public comment and questions. Please limit public comment to 3 minutes each.
Let yourself be known if you have a public comment. I'm looking around. Okay, I see no one reaching for their magic flag, so.
Welcome, Mary.
Welcome, Ken. Nice to see you again.
It's just another beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day.
Approval of meeting summary notes from August 5th, 2021. Did everybody get to review them? Any questions? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Tim?
Shelley's holding up a peace sign.
Shelley seconds.
Shelley seconds.
Do you want a roll call?
Yes.
Ken Woodward.
Shelley. Hey.
You ready?
Yay.
Jeff Smith.
Nope.
Joel Parks.
Yay.
Shelley Engel.
Aye.
John McCormick.
I feel I must abstain since I wasn't actually on the board at that time.
Thank you, sir. Tim Kirsch.
Aye.
And Janet Zionhall. Aye. So 7 ayes, 1 abstain.
It should be 6. We're missing Jeff Yowie.
6, yes.
Yes, you're correct. I can't count. I can't read. It's one of those days.
Thank you for the budget. Motion approved. Treasury report. Review and pay bills if necessary. Joel.
Oh, you're on mute.
All right, there we go. Sorry. Nothing has changed since the April 4th budget meeting. We have $766.95, and we have a credit with local government law group for $1,932.
What was the balance?
$766.95.
Thank you.
Yep.
Just writing it down. Any questions?
No, but
All
thank
right.
you for emailing that out, Joel.
Yes. All right, North Santiam Sewer Authority Wastewater Master Plan Review Approval. Peter Olson and McCray Carmichael. Hello, McCray.
Okay, Peter, do you need to share the screen?
Yeah, I do. McRae, did you have any introduction or take it away?
Take it away.
All right, so let me share.
And Peter, while you're loading that up, can we remind everyone, including myself, to mute while you're talking?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Shelley.
You're welcome.
All right, all right, are you seeing the presentation?
We're seeing the end of the presentation.
There you go.
Now we have to unmute. Yes.
All right. Let me move back to kind of a dance to show all the screens in the right way. All right.
This is what happens when Peter uses Microsoft Teams and we're doing Zoom. So.
Well, actually, it's Microsoft PowerPoint. It fumbles me up a little bit just because it splits the screens and does all that. But anyways, all right. So glad to be here. Thank you for having me. This is our board meeting presentation for the master plan. And so it has a lot of similarities to last month's, but with some, updating you on the adjustments in the new draft. Let's dive right in. So this slide, the timeline summary, what we added was the second draft report here at the end and adjusted the month for the conceptual collection system layouts to finish in July. I think we had it finishing in a month or two earlier. So that's the adjustment to this slide, but everything's the same as last month. For the report overview, this has adjusted as you guys, as you folks noticed probably in the draft report. So we added some sections. I'll go through that in a little more detail in a subsequent slide. But this is the report overview. Really the ones to note are the purpose and background, the introduction to the study area. Were quite a bit added to those. The key policy decisions ahead, the communication and public outreach was modified, and the summary of recommendations and actions was a number of revisions to that section.
And Peter, there was the executive summary as well. Yeah, the executive summary was reworked so it could be a standalone document to be able to help people read it in quick fashion to know what the updates are.
Correct, thank you. So the master plan for our field investigations, a similar slide to last month. We had the 3 technical memorandums for the field investigations by GSI Water Solutions. Those, nothing changed from what we presented last time, but those summarizes their work, their field investigations, their analysis, and their recommendations. For the geotechnical side, the geotechnical considerations, nothing has changed here as well. Still a review of the readily available geotechnical information that Shannon and Wilson provided.
These particular technical memorandums are actually in the appendix, the long form. So once we get everything all prettied up, we'll make sure that those are included in the long form of the appendix.
And the appendix is long form. Now for FCS groups, we did make some minor modifications and updated that Gordon did in between the last draft and this draft to the writing. The numbers did not adjust, but the writing did have some minor updates there. And again, as Danielle said, this is available in the full appendix for their memorandum.
Peter, one of the conversations we had was the cost estimate for septic tanks, for new septic tanks, to have the annual service contracts. Do you know if that got added into that document, the technical memorandum?
It did.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
That was a key point there.
Thank you.
So this summarizes in a little more detail this slide of the changes since the draft review number 1 to the second draft review. The bold is the ones that have new subsections or new sections within the chapter, and then the bold and green are new chapters. As I mentioned, the purpose and background and the existing conditions. Actually, I don't think I mentioned the section 4 in the previous slide, but that one was a new section summarizing what's the current situation in the canyon as far as how wastewater is managed for each community. And then the key policy decisions ahead was a good summary chapter for the board, particularly to know what, and it's not every single one. It includes a lot of the key policy decisions, but I'm sure there will be others that will need to be addressed, but we tried our best to summarize those. And then the bold ones, especially the summary of recommendation and actions, has the near-term action recommended actions. And then, as Danielle mentioned, the executive summary was had quite a bit of revisions and restructure.
And this is with the modifications that the sewer authority asked me to work with Peter on. So all of the modifications are also in these new chapters and summaries and all that.
Correct. All right. So as far as the cost summary and for the options and scenarios, we have the life cycle. This is similar information. On the next slide, we do have, we did update a capital cost number with this draft, which was reduce the costs. And I'll come back to this one if we need, but this next slide here for scenario D and E was showing, we did not have it updated in the sections. It was updated in the summary recommendations and the executive summary, the correct tables. But these two tables in, I believe it's section 10, if I'm remembering the section correctly, had the higher amount of the 8.5 million for the new WPCF for Mill City and Gates. And that was it was reflecting the advanced mechanical treatment plant for Mill City and Gates as opposed to the mechanical treatment plant. So that did reduce the capital cost associated with that, and that was a change that you saw, about a total of about $6 million that it reduced in that capital cost.
And was that based on conversations, right, that we were looking at, but whether it needed to be advanced treatment or just the standard mechanical treatment?
I'm not, ask the question again, because it didn't change what we had planned. It changed on how it was summarized and written in the document, and more importantly in the table. You'll notice those costs are similar between in the final recommendation between Gates, Mill City, and Detroit, Idana. Detroit, Idana, the recommendation or assumption there, because of that basin and the disposal there, that it will require a higher level of treatment than we're going to need for Gates and Mill City, but they have a lot less flow, and so the size of the treatment plant will be smaller. But because of its advanced, it's more advanced, it's kind of deceiving. You look at those costs are the same, but there's a lot more thought and detail that goes in there because of that. So that's maybe a longer explanation, but those are the details. And Dallin, correct me if I messed up anywhere, but I believe that's the summary. So again, this is the resulting net present value for the collection system options and the treatment and disposal options. Now for the summary recommendations, I'll go through this in a little more specificity, but the basins is to establish the 2 sanitary sewer basins with Mill City and Gates as one basin, and regional conveyance, so pumping the flow from Gates to Mill City. And then Detroit and Idana is a second sewer basin, and similarly pumping the flow from Detroit to Idana, what we're calling regional conveyance. The collection system is Mill City to retain the existing collection system, and Gates, Detroit, and Idana with a gravity collection system. The wastewater treatment is a mechanical treatment plant in Mill City, and advanced mechanical treatment plant in Idana for that basin. The treated effluent disposal would be rapid infiltration basin for both sewer basins. For Mill City, we have siting recommendations provided, but need to expend some more effort in selecting and negotiating and procuring, acquiring the specific property. And then for Idana, it's further field investigation recommendations for the McCoy site. For Mill City, is recommendation is to perform immediate improvements to the short-lived assets to provide treatment for and disposal for the current capacity, rated capacity of the treatment plant, and new mechanical treatment plant for Mill City, consistent with the overall Mill City and Gates basin recommendation. The cost of the recommended scenario is summarized here.
And this isn't current cost. This is not in with inflated values or anything like that over time.
Correct. And this new WPCF, that was the item that changed and created the 112 to 106 down here. Looking forward, schedule-wise, this is an addition since the previous draft is penciling out the schedules. We broke it up into these two basins, which are, one is you have Gates, Mill City, working on the site selection and negotiations in the next 6 months, as well as the facilities planning study. Then moving on into site testing, and I won't go through all the details here, but it lays out working with DEQ review times, with the testing, the monitoring, so on and so forth. I've put a lot of thought and a lot of negotiations and debates, I should say, amongst the team and what to expect there. What I would note is we have the lighter shade representing potential, areas to compress the schedule. A lot of times they depend on factors that we can't control, but we would anticipate making the best efforts to compress those schedules for the sake of expediting the overall project schedule.
I would just point out on this one, Peter, that this is just the engineering side. This does not include all of the additional work that is in the background. And so at the next stage of our scoping and all of that, we'll have to work together to marry our two timelines. And so they make sense, and make sure that I'm hitting the targets that you guys need to be able to continue on this timeline. So that's the only worry I have, but just know that, things like, if we have to acquire property, if we have to do the population housing and income surveys, all of those pieces also need to fit into these timelines as well. So,
and that was one of my questions as I've been scoping out the phase 2 is that survey, and what is the timeline, where does it fit? So
yeah, I've already had, just so everybody's aware, I've already had conversations with USDA. They've offered to help and pull in RCAC to do the surveys for us. We just need to know what the scoping is, what we need to have. So Peter, that's going to be, you, me, and McCrae possibly. And then from there, Portland State said that they want to be in part of that conversation. So they will then hopefully accept any of the modified population estimates that we have.
Great. Okay. This is the Detroit Idana. As I mentioned, there's different basins. This has a little bit of a delay in comparison to Gates Mill City, and that has to do with the complicated nature, and it's going to be tougher to get through the reviews and approvals with DEQ, so on and so forth, with the and specifically with disposal is the largest challenge.
And the big undefined question is at this moment is the Forest Service going to be willing to work with us on this? And I'll have a quick conversation about that closer to the end of the meeting.
Thank you. For next steps, I've kind of listed out the immediate action items here. I'm not going to go through and mention every single one, but for today, it's the recommendation for adoption of the master plan report, and to start implementing that master plan in the schedule. And so we're looking at negotiating the scope and fee for phase 2. And then engaging with the owners of the potential properties is a key component. That's again, it's something that's out of the control, full control of the sewer authority or any agency. And so that's an unknown that we'll have to work with. But I've mentioned the other items with the population growth study, the looking at the obviously the additional funding, the business case scenario recommendations. There's a whole separate list for there to work through. And I think that's part of what you're talking about, Danielle. There's a number of items in there that are not engineering related, but are very important. And then the key decisions, to begin evaluating those key decisions and moving down that path.
And the piece with the key decisions is a lot of these key decisions help to inform what the end cost is for residents, right? So if you're just looking at it on face value and making some assumptions on funding and all of that, these key decisions will just keep ticking away, either lowering or hiring the cost for residents for connection and monthly fees. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind when we're looking at the next decisions ahead of for the sewer authority. I did ask Keller to lay out some of what those key decisions would be, and Gordon as well with FCS, to lay out what those would be that would make the cost differential more. So. And
that's the last slide of the presentation I had for this evening. Again, the recommendation is for adoption of the master plan report.
Thank you, Peter.
Did anyone have any questions or things that we didn't? And I know we've had a lot of meetings on this, so I just want to make sure everybody's still secure on where we're going.
I don't hear any questions.
I'll ask one real quick here. So on this last slide that we're looking here, the next steps, immediate action items. If we look down towards the bottom of it to evaluate some of the key decisions, things like that. I'm curious, you just mentioned something about hookup costs and things like that. I know that early on in all our meetings, we had discussed the way that Mill City had done it years ago was the city paid for all the hookups of all the things. I think that might be important for getting a lot of people on board so they don't have to come up with a lot of upfront costs, as well as I know that we've been talking about making sure that we keep that sewer bill at a certain level. Obviously, I'm said all along, I wouldn't support anything that was really anything considerably larger than what the citizens of Mill City already pay as far as a sewer bill. So how far down the road is it before we know those items?
You're talking about the key decisions. Very honestly, it's up to the sewer. So the sewer authority, we discussed these prior to the sewer authority. I mean, there's been talk, but there's not been an official vote. There's not been anything like that. So, you know, once we can get the master plan approved, the hope is that we can actually just start walking through these steps, just like we did with the steps to set up the sewer authority. So that is the hope. Just remember though, all of these decision points have cost, have costs with them. And so we're going to be referring back, thank you, implications. So we'll be, of course, referring back to Gordon's document that kind of gives us an idea of what that cost consideration would be. If that is not included, then we will have to do some running of the numbers and all that stuff to make sure everybody's still comfortable with those decisions. So I would just want to make sure that they're informed decisions based on the financial realities.
Very good, because that's what I want to make sure of too, so that we don't chase this down a path for so far and then find out it's unaffordable for citizens or something. So we want to make sure that that's all in line while we're proceeding forward.
And I would just reiterate that 1.4% of median household income is where USDA is going to expect us to be. Now that median household income, unfortunately, has not been easy to find because the census is no longer doing the easy, quick reviews of populations under 5,000. So I'm relying on USDA as of October. The numbers that were provided to me from Holly Halligan was that it was somewhere around $42,000 a year was the median household income when calculated for the sewer authority area. So that includes Idana, Detroit, Gates, Mill City, and then by percentage of where that population is. And I want to say it was like under 42,000 at that point. So I'll just double check that number. And so then you take that as 1.4% of median household income, and that's what they consider to be affordable under the USDA rules.
Very good.
All right. Any more discussion on the master plan and approval? Do we have a motion?
Well, I would like to say that I appreciate all the work that has gone into this master plan. It is very detailed and it's pretty easy to read too. That's amazing right there. But yes, I really appreciate it. I like it. I want to see us move forward. So I'm going to move to approve.
Tim Kirsch makes a motion to approve the master plan. Do we have a second?
Second.
Shelley Engel makes a second.
I would suggest that we go through the roll call vote for this.
Absolutely.
Do we want to have a discussion?
Oh, sorry, I'll be quiet.
That's all right. I don't hear of anybody wanting to discuss. So we shall take a vote. Roll call.
I quit flashing everybody. Joel Parks.
Aye.
Don McCormick.
Nay.
My computer's not doing what's supposed to. Sorry. Tim Kirsch.
Aye.
Shelley Engel.
Aye.
Bouncing around people. Ken Woodward.
Aye.
Jeff Smith.
Aye.
And myself, aye. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ayes and 1 nay.
The motion passes.
Yep.
Unanimous. We are
Not
moving.
unanimous.
No, not unanimous. We had one nay.
I take that back. Not
You better.
unanimous. 6-1.
And
You're
one
moving.
excused.
Do what?
And one excused.
And one excused. Jeff Yohe. Let me write that down. Peter, thank you for everything. McCrae, McCrae, where are you, McCrae? I know you're there.
I think she had to go to the city council meeting.
She stepped away, yeah.
Everybody, Arthur, all of you, Jeff, Keith, thank you for everything. Thank you. All right.
And I would just say congratulations, guys. This has been a long haul, and just you're just moving forward. So congratulations.
Yep, this is a big step in the whole project. So yeah.
And now we get to start looking at the fun stuff like moving through, and then eventually getting the presentations from all the different types of people, and then bidding process. And oh, wait a minute, I didn't like the bidding process when it was all done. That was nasty. But it was good food.
We have a lot of work in front of us. We definitely do. Timeline and communications planning for master plan release. Danielle.
Yeah, so I have big plans for this next couple of weeks. Well, maybe 3 or 4 weeks actually. We had talked about once the master plan was approved that we would do some media pieces, KYAC, talk with the Canyon Weekly, do the city council presentations. I had offers to do other people to offer to do the radio. I'm very hesitant right now to do radio with COVID, and especially with that increasing. So, we may have to do a call in or something like that. I don't know how receptive Ken is on that. Ken Cartwright with KYC. So we'll have to see about that.
He has done it before. He can do it again.
Okay. I know it's a little bit more difficult to communicate that way, but we'll make a go for it and try to make that happen. Do I have someone to volunteer to reach out to Ken Cartwright?
I can.
Thank you, Ken. And then, tell him that I would be interested in by phone. And if we can include a couple of other people by phone, that's great, preferably. I promise you people want to hear from you guys more than they want to hear from me.
I would be happy to help out, but my September schedule is not a good one for volunteer work. I'm going to spend a little me time on me. So I'm going to be out of state most of the month.
Whatever. Depending on what it is, Danielle, let me know and I'll try to clear with my boss. I've got pretty flexible with the community volunteering that we do.
Great, thank you.
I have no problem. Shelley?
I am not employed any longer, so I'm gone for, well, I had a job all summer, Ken Woodward, and
they fired you?
That's the beauty of a maternity leave, they come back to work. I'm gone 3 days in the 3rd week of September, but that's it.
Okay.
Let me see what Ken Cartwright wants to do, and I'll, if it sounds like we have a lot of volunteers willing to get in front of it.
Okay. And then is there anybody that has great writing skills that would be able to do something with the Canyon Weekly? And so we can give them updates. I can give you the format, like the press release format. And you can also just reach out to them too.
Shelley.
Shelley.
That feels like that's my job. Yeah.
Yay, Shelley.
And you are really a great writer.
Oh.
So
You are. Don't want me in there.
I sat with Mary Owen the other day at the one of the SEDCOR events. And so we had a good conversation about the 50 million and all of that kind of stuff. So we'll just reach back out through that same pathway. Great, thank you. Now the city councils and planning commission, I've already heard from Detroit, so I'm on for next Tuesday in Detroit. I'm on Wednesday for Idana. I am on the schedule for Mill City. Gates, I haven't heard back yet, but I sent them an email just saying I wanted some time if they're willing on their city council agenda. Lynn County, potentially, I haven't spoken with them yet, but their next commission meeting that would be appropriate would be September 23rd. I haven't put that on the calendar yet just because I haven't talked to them. And then I have a work session with the Marion County Commissioners September 16th. And so hopefully I'll be able to lay out and Peter will be there and McCrae will be there. And we'll kind of talk through what the county needs to do to help us get there. On the funding side and all of that.
Danielle,
yes,
you told everybody about Lions and what they would like to do?
I have that further down the agenda.
Oh, well, be that way.
No, remind me if I missed that.
Okay.
Thank you. And then the state and federal agencies, I had already been reaching out, obviously, to any of the federal agencies. Now that we have a master plan and the executive summary, I'm trying not to torture people and giving them the entire master plan. Not that it's not great work, Peter, just hold on. It's the executive summary is what I'm trying to give to people. So that's why it was supposed to be a standalone document. It has the basics of the information. Then it has the recommendations, it has a few maps, and it tells you what's ahead. I'm going to admit McCrae's back in.
Hey, Peter, is he gone already? No, Peter, can you send out your
I have the executive summary.
Yeah, Danielle has them all, has everything she needs.
Oh,
yep.
I have that too, but I just okay.
Yep. I actually, poor Garrett had to run me over, had to send me a copy the other day. The executive summary was included in the full packet that you guys received.
Yeah.
And then I had them separated out and send a separate one. Ken, did you want to say anything to McCrae as she just joined back?
I'm McCrae.
Let her know that you guys just approved the master plan.
We just approved the master plan, McCrae. McCrae? Or the McCrae?
She's stunned. She can't speak.
Sorry. I couldn't hear anybody.
Oh, hey, we just approved the master plan. Thank you for all your hard work.
Yay.
Everyone. Thank you. You've already covered the estimate for population. You want to do any more on that?
So yeah, you've kind of heard that. I'll just reiterate. Working with the USDA, RCAC, and PSU to get together the population estimates. In the master plan, I know you guys all read it cover to cover, but it talked about specifically how we were using augmented growth projections. That's something that's going to be need to evaluate a little bit further because we can only use the growth projections that PSU approves, Portland State University approves. And so we're trying to make sure that we are at the front end of that instead of waiting until the back end. Peter's going to need that information for the engineering, for the collection, as well as the, it's not discharge, what's the word I want to use?
Disposal.
Thank you. I only made him change it like 17 times. No joke. So thanks, Peter, for not killing me on that. So we are moving forward on that. USDA has actually offered to pay for that work. We just need to write out that scope of work. I might harass McCrae to see what your schedule is, and if you have time to help build that scope of work with me, that would be fantastic.
Hey, Danielle, real quick, this is Tim Kirsch. The growth projections are going to be two different growth projections, aren't they? One with sewer, one without. Mm-hmm. And PSU is willing to or ready to know the difference and certify accordingly, I suppose, then. Okay.
Yeah. So I had conversations with them in April, May, and June before they put out their July numbers. Their July numbers look wacky. And just know that we know that they're wacky. We talked to them about the fact that they were wacky. Some of the pieces that we were hoping that they would catch on were there. Now that we have a rough timeline, that's going to be helpful for them to know that because they were ramping up after 5 years is the way that they had worked it out with us. So they got to a point though that they couldn't delay anymore because they had to turn in the July 1 numbers for 2020 or 21, I think they're on.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason that we just stopped talking at that point. Cause I'm like, I know you have to pull the trigger, just pull the trigger with what you got. We'll have to come back to this next year. So yes, yes, and yes, if you have more ideas. I did talk to them, Tim, specifically about the multiple different housing discussions that we've been in for Mill City in particular.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So next meeting, we talked about moving that date to October 4th. I believe that's the right date.
First Monday.
That's the first Monday.
I have a question on starting at 6:30. You know, we have Danielle, McRae, Peter. I know Tim doesn't work very hard, but we have everybody putting in full days. Can we get back to starting at 6 to 8? If we start on the first Monday of the month? Tim, I guess I'm asking you.
Mondays, I shouldn't have a problem with.
Anybody else have a problem? Because you know, today we're going to pull it off and we're going to be done by 8, but.
Well, the whole reason I asked was because I can't eat. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but eating a meal after 8:30 at night is just really, my system just hates that. So then I just drink. So just kind of.
Girl off my own heart.
Yeah, drink, I'll go along. No.
And I totally get that if you're driving home from Mill City at 8 o'clock, oh my goodness. I mean, that's late enough. It's dark enough. I mean, anything after October, that's horrible. So, but that was my request, was if we could start a little bit later so people had some downtime between the time they're screeching home from work and they would sit down in front of these meetings. Maybe I'm the only one. So I will do what the group asks, but that was my request. And that was why, because it's 6 o'clock is really close to 5 o'clock being through with work, and then the commute home, and holy moly. And that's the beauty of though Zooming is there's no commute, at least to the meeting, except, you know, my 17 steps. So whatever.
Shelley, I understand. I don't know. I had to barbecue and eat before this meeting. I'm just trying to look at, you know, Danielle and her work schedule, McRae, Peter, and all them.
I'm merely saying whatever the group needs. That was why I requested that, so that people had more time from the time they were through with work at 5 to sitting down in front of a meeting. I mean, in the PTA world and the church world, no meeting starts until 7.
Oh.
But on the other hand, nobody drives from Mill City to Salem back home from choir practice or whatever. So whatever the group decides.
It's up to the group.
Mondays, I'll make myself flexible. I'll just do that. So whenever.
Are you sure about that, Tim?
98%.
Okay.
There'll be a couple of exceptions, obviously, but for the most part, shouldn't be a problem.
So we start meeting on the first Monday of every month at 6 p.m. Let's just try it. And we can make adjustments. Is that okay with everybody?
Okay. And Shelley, if you could update the website with that, and let me send the updated information. I might use a different Zoom. So let me think that through. Let me think that through, and I'll let you know.
Do we have to use a different Zoom?
I may not, but it just depends. It depends on how this one works out, because we added the closed captioning this week. So we're hoping that that'll work for the YouTube channel.
And you just change the date going forward on the current meeting. Don't create a new meeting, just create meetings going forward. And that should carry the closed caption, should.
Great. I'll try that. Thank you.
New business. Scope of work. Next engineering phase. You'll have it completed, right, Peter?
Working on it. I spent the bulk of my day working on it today. So
you've put in one heck of a 3-week. Yeah, you've done awesome. Thank you.
So-
it's top priority is to get that, because it can't move forward without it.
So Peter, what is the goal for having a draft to me or McRae?
I think in the next week.
No, thank you.
That's it.
That starts with Mill City. The next phase.
Correct. Doing the facilities planning study and doing the short-term improvements, all the things we listed there.
Yeah, short-term. Yeah. Woohoo! Rock and roll, Tim. Where's the smile?
You still got a lot of work to do too, so he's not smiling yet.
Just getting started. Staffing up. What do you suggest, Danielle?
So we've talked about this. It is time to now pull the trigger. You've got a master plan. Now we need a person doing all of the admin side. So the county has already agreed to do 150,000 to get us staff for at least a year, if not more. And so we're going to work through that. Got to start drafting up a scope. I want to say, and this is where I'm going to need somebody to check me on this. The initial IGA, I believe it said a district manager or a district administrator or something, or an authority manager. I just need to double check to see what that title is, because a manager is different than a director. And so I've got to just, weave my way through that.
I think it was a manager. I'll check.
Okay. So if you could just double check and send me that little piece so I can make sure I'm following whatever rules that you guys have set. Because if it fits where a manager is not what you need yet, it might be good to look at something temporarily until a manager would fit in that position. So manager is going to be more likely to be managing the sewer authority once it has customers and all that kind of stuff. But an authority administrator or something like that might be doing the setting up of, silly things like bank accounts, setting up all of those kind of things.
Something came to mind. What about contracting Mill City? I don't just need to check on this other stuff, but
you'll need to talk to Tim and the staff on that one, because I don't know how they would feel about taking on it, because this is additional responsibilities. This would not be just managing what they're doing.
Right.
So
quite honestly, we'd have to bring on more staff for it.
Yeah.
So whether the city brought on somebody new or the sewer authority had their own person would be the difference.
I would personally recommend that the sewer authority take on their own staff person to help with the longevity also. And so you have someone that's on the ground floor as we're developing that train, as we're moving down the track.
Where would that staff person work out of? Is there any space available in Mill City?
Well, Mill City would be able to help out in that respect. I'm sure we could come up with a way to make some office space or some room there somewhere.
And I will say virtual officing is not terrible.
Right.
So,
and a lot of I would think of a person like that could do some virtual officing or working from home, but if they needed meeting space or whatever, obviously Mill City would be able to step up and find a spot in City Hall.
Thank you, Tim. Oh, wow. All right,
just-
Danielle.
I muted myself, like thinking, okay, I'm done.
No. You're just getting started. Congressman.
I'm sorry, but we do need somebody else to mute. Like there's a radio or a TV in the background.
Okay, thank you.
Danielle,
So,
Congressman
yeah.
Schrader, Lyons, and City Council presentation.
Yeah, okay. So I met with Congressman Schrader. Thank you, Mill City, for letting me borrow your conference room. Was this Friday, Ken? Last Friday, yeah. So the day I took the books up to you guys, had a really good conversation with him. I had put together a one-pager on the project, and we had scheduled for 45 minutes to kind of walk through all of the pieces of where we've kind of come in this last year and a half, 2 years. And we ended up only taking 15 minutes. Every question he had, we knew what the answer was. He asked things like exactly about the population estimates, not knowing after how the fire is going to work, what the timeline is. And specifically, he asked, what am I supposed to do? And then he repeated back what he was going to do. So those are the kind of meetings I like, because it only took 15 minutes to do that. I put it on a piece of paper, what I'm asking. What we're asking for is the Forest Service to work with us on those properties. I flat out told the congressman that if the Forest Service isn't able or willing to help us under the Town Sites Act, Detroit and Idana is a problem. And just flat out told him, I said, we have to have the Forest Service work with us. And I told him, I said, while our engineering study says it is technically possible to do a pipeline from Detroitite to Gates for disposal, I told him that I certainly couldn't get behind that in any which way. Considering the road moves, I don't know if I would want necessarily to put raw wastewater down that highway. So that was a conversation we had. He was glad that I said that outright. He asked about the city of Salem. I reiterated to him that we've asked the city of Salem to be part of our technical review, and that they have participated in that. I know that was a sticking point for him as well. And then in the end, he said he was very impressed with how fast and far it's moved in this last year and a half. And that he knows what his marching orders are, is to go work with Forest Service to get them to work with us, as well as to get some additional funding. And I just flat out told him what the numbers are, what percentage we need. And I told him that's way higher than a traditional cities coming together, that they ask for us to regionalize, and this is what you do. And when you ask us to regionalize, it doesn't mean that the cost goes away. That means that now we need 4 times the amount of money that normal cities would get. So that was a positive conversation. I did tell them that the state has already put up $50 million and that we expect no less than that. So we will see. I told them that was the matching amounts. So we'll see what happens there. That conversation will continue moving forward. So, okay. And then the city of Lyons. So last month, after our last meeting, this Mickey Valentine, the recorder for City of Lyons, asked me to come speak to their city council about potentially either joining the sewer project or involving themselves in some way. They said, well, what if we bring some matching money? And I turned to them, I said, so you got 50 million bucks up in there. So I just kind of walked through what we've had to do to get to where we are. And I told them that I would send them a copy of the master plan if and once it was approved, for them to review and see if that's something that they're interested in. But I told them I would not make any commitments without talking with the sewer authority. Now, the 2 caveats, and they specifically asked why they weren't included first, which I kind of laughed. And I said, well, there was 3 reasons. I said one of them is that at the time your mayor flat out said that they weren't going to do anything until the state required them to. I said number two, when we looked at your income level actually would have made it less affordable for everybody else because your income's too high. And then they made a comment, yes, but our income's not really that high. I said, doesn't matter. On paper, your income is that high. And unless you're willing to do something about that, it's a problem. I said, number three is that while the county would love to have Mahema also covered under their urban growth boundary, that won't happen if we have to do a whole third project without significant funding. So I'm just going to throw that out there. They did request help. But they didn't officially request help. I told them, I said, I would feel more comfortable after I at least talk to the sewer authority. This is obviously not something for action, but I at least want to put it into your brains, and I would love some feedback.
Well, it's my recollection that we talked about Lions quite a bit early on, and the reasons you outlined specifically are ones that we didn't encourage them or really go after them to join. But I recollect us saying it would be nice to have them involved later down the road once we had ours up and going, or really on the way there to being up and going. So yeah, I think the more the merrier in something like this, because I'm a firm believer in what's good for one community in the canyon is good for all of us. And we all got to hang together because we're all depending on a lot of the same stuff. So I like the idea of bringing them on later on down the road, but we got too much going on right now just with the little two projects that we have to try and bring in a third one. My own opinion.
But couldn't they be part of the meetings to just listen in and
they're public meetings, they're open to everyone.
No, understand, but you know, just inviting them.
Sure, invite them to come along and see what we're doing and stuff. We wouldn't obviously put them on the board or anything, but
they can have an idea what's going on and what it's going to take. But more the merrier, especially in the canyon.
I do have a question about them. Are both Mahema and Lions on septic systems, or?
Yes, they're both on septic systems.
Okay.
So Mahema is unincorporated,
right?
But it is part of the urban growth boundary for Lions, and so there would have to be some other things that would have to climb through some hoops. Even though they are across the river, they are still within the urban growth boundary of Lions.
Okay, I just didn't know what their setup was at this time. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's all good. Come on, Lions.
So the one other thing that they said was, yeah, our council has evolved since that initial conversation.
Well, haven't we all?
I said, yeah, 57 meetings later, we have too.
You know how long that is? 57 meetings?
I will say though, one of their Lions City councilors was at our first meetings. I don't know if anybody remembers, but they were at our first few meetings. And then when they took it back to their city councils, because Keller, so Peter and myself and Dave Kinney, actually as a subcontractor, went and interviewed all of the cities. And that was a word for word. What they said was that they weren't going to do anything unless the state required them to. So, okay. So what I'm hearing is go ahead and send them the master plan. I'm hearing that I am going to invite them to the meetings if they want to participate in the meetings.
Yes.
But at this point, there is not interest because we need to get ours flying first.
Our focus has to be going down the road we're on right now. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to follow the master plan.
Okay.
Got to get Mill City going. They can follow along, they can participate, but
sure. And you know, once we get rolling and stuff, we could start something with theirs, obviously, because they might not want to wait 5 years before they start their whole thing. But once we get ours rolling, then we could look at potentially starting something there. And that way they're kind of working a little bit in conjunction. And there's just basically third in line.
You can show them the process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. just the other thing that now I'm remembering some of the things. They asked how they get a me. And then I said, well, so the county
asked what? What
how they get a Danielle.
Oh.
And I explained to them that the county has, for the last 6 years, paid full-time staff as part of the economic development group to do this. I said, so if you want to, the first thing then you would want to do is talk to Lynn County.
Because they are Lynn County. Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Mhm.
No. Okay. So I'm hearing those when and if those recommendations and feedback you're giving me changes, please just let me know.
Wow. So you're going to take on all the city council presentations by yourself, or I know, are you?
They are already on my schedule. I am not sure about the planning commissions. I would prefer some feedback on that. If you can give me that, that would be good. So far I was just looking at the city councils. I had put the planning commissions on there too, but Mill City has a strong planning commission. So maybe if you want me to meet with them, I'm happy to.
You know what? We can put out a special invitation to the planning commission to come to the city council meeting, knowing that this is on the agenda.
That would be great.
Yeah.
What do you think,
save me a
Shelley?
night.
Yeah, I was thinking the very same thing. Our planning commission is not that strong. And so I think that's the best way to do it. Plus, because our meeting this coming week is 100% Zoom, it's easy for them to go to. So I'm happy to follow up on that. Danielle, if you'd like me to.
That would be great.
That'd be great.
Yeah. And then Jeff Smith, Idana, I don't believe you have a planning commission.
No, I don't believe we do.
Okay. And Gates doesn't have one either. I'm seeing McCrae. No, they don't have one either. Okay. So then if we can get them all invited, that would be fantastic. And I appreciate it. That helps me. That saves me a couple more meetings. So thank you.
Saves you some time.
Yep.
So Detroit, Idana, Mill City, and Gates instead of Mill City Plant. Yeah, that's good. Help her out, Shelley. So October 4th. Oh, man.
So Monday, October 4th, 6 p.m.
Monday. Anything else?
I had a question. I don't know if this is at the right time. Through Nextdoor Detroit, City of Detroit posted this big thing about the sewer, kind of like a synopsis of the master plan. And I was like, where did that come from?
What?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I'm like, yeah. So I just wondered if anybody knew anything about that.
I never put anything on there.
Well,
and I know you didn't, Shelley.
No.
So was it accurate?
Yes, it was interesting. So I'm going to look at it again. I've had the worst cold known to mankind in the last week and a half, so I'm not the most brilliant lately. But I'll look at it again. But I was like, why do they have this, and why are they putting it out there? There was.
Where did they get it?
Yeah, and where did they get it? So I'll follow through again. But I thought I would start here at the source and see if any of you knew.
That was on Nextdoor?
I think so. I think that's where I saw it.
So if you can help figure out where that is, and if it's an accurate rendition, awesome. If it's not, let's make sure we clear that up. Because, I mean, I'm just going to reiterate, we've said this before, where we want accurate information that is as fast as we can get it, but it has to be accurate first, and then it has to be real. So, we're not going to make up some imaginary things. We need to be very straight with people so they can make life decisions.
When did you see this, Shelley? Because I'm back in August and August 13th, and I still don't see it.
I know that the only thing I've seen about septic or sewer was Mary Camarada issued a summary of requirements for permitting for new septic. And that got shared with the city manager. And I know that I saw that on the Facebook page, but that is the only, I mean, I'm looking on Detroit site right now. I mean, if something, I'm not on Nextdoor, but is that maybe the document?
I think that's what it was. Like I said, I saw sewer and I saw septic and I'm like, what? And I'm the first to admit, no,
it's okay. That's why we're clarifying.
My brain has been draining out lots of places.
So to clarify, that wasn't for everyone. That wasn't the master plan or anything to do with the necessarily the sewer authority. It's for people who are either rebuilding and or building. And it was issued to Detroit, Idana Gates, Mill City, I think. No, Mill City didn't, but Detroit, Idana, and Gates received it, and we're just asked to share.
Thank you for clarifying. It was really nice of Mary. She actually called me and we had a nice conversation. And so thank you for clarifying.
That's perfect. Yeah. And I saw that document. It was actually really helpful and nice and easy to follow on, when you stop, right? So then that actually brings up a thing I didn't think about before. Peter, we need to update the website for the timeline. So if you can do that on your page, and Shelley, if you can update the rest of the pieces. And now that the master plan's approved, I'll get you a nice clean copy with an executive summary separated, and all of the appendix. We will get all of that up on the website. And then just reminder that these meetings are on YouTube, on the YouTube channel that has been getting some views, not a huge amount, but it definitely is helpful, I think, for people to get up to date if they need to. So.
And they are posted on the website as well.
I'm sorry.
They are on the website, at least, the link to them.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I have a friend who's been teaching me more about this Wix editor, and every time I touch the website, it's a little better than the time before.
It looks fantastic. Thank you.
Looks good. Looks good, Shelley.
Thank you.
For updating the timeline, Danielle, is it putting that schedule on the the two basin schedules?
Yeah, and then please put the caveat that does not include, that's just the engineering pieces. It does not include property acquisition. It doesn't include, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And we start at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
We'll do.
Thank you.
Look at that. Hour and 8 minutes.
Topics? Any other topics that we've missed that we need to bring in for the next meeting?
Staffing.
Thank you. Okay, so staffing, and then I'm going to hold Peter to the scope of work.
I'm on it.
Okay. Anything else, McCray or Ken?
And Tim said they'd have no problem in Mill City finding a place for them if they need to be in the office.
Okay. I think we're quite a ways down the road for that.
Yeah, I know, but it's just going over in the brain, making notes.
Yep. It's going to be some contracting we got to do.
Canyon Weekly. Are you and Shelley going to meet or go over something to write up for Canyon Weekly, or just?
I'm just going to send her the previous format, and you do your magic.
Okay, she will.
And then just if you'll throw it to me, just so I'm aware, because Mary Owen will definitely call me, or one of the staff members over there will inevitably call me. And if you can grab, Shelley, quotes from some sewer authority members, that would be really good to have in there too.
And I'm going to contact Ken Cartwright.
Yep, thank you. So Ken, have we have a few more minutes? Do we have a couple of guests here? Did they have anything else that they need to say that we've missed or?
Oh, come on, Arthur. You got something to say.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. Sorry I missed last month. Sounds like you've made great progress.
Thank you. It's been a long road.
Arthur, I'll send you the copy now that it's approved and all of that stuff. I'll send you all of those pieces. I have a whole list of people it needs to go to, and you are absolutely on the list, as well as Mary. I owed that to her as well.
Mary, you got anything to say? Come on.
Oh, you guys, it's amazing. I mean, when you think about what is this number 3 or 4 master plan, facility plan, so you should celebrate. I mean, we don't have any way of doing that, but it's amazing. Good job, everybody. And we'll just, like you said, one foot in front of the other, and hopefully we'll get a lot of good grants, because we're going to need that, and move it forward.
Thank you, Mary. No, our work's cut out for us now. Anybody else? Keith. Jeff, come on, you're silent. You can't be.
I like to be silent. I am glad that you've approved the draft master plan, and we're moving forward. It is good. Even though I've been missing for a while, it's good to see it still going. You guys have done great. So I want to compliment you on that.
Congratulations. Long time coming.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Jeff. Everybody's worked hard.
And Jody just sent a quick message that says she's having tech issues, but congratulations on the plan. Great work.
Thank you, Jody.
Well, so we can give everybody 18 minutes back.
We got, where's Garrett?
Got Peter, Dallin, and Garrett. Anybody want to say anything else?
Oh, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you for everything. All right. Anything else? Well, guess what? 7:42. This is a night to remember. Oh, Shelley.
I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting at 7:42.
And you know what? We just adjourned.
I'll second it.
That we don't need those motions anymore, remember?
No, I don't remember.
Let's just get her done then. How about that, Commander?
Get her done. Everybody, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right. It is 7:43 and the meeting is adjourned.
Good night.
Good night,
everyone.
Thank you.